Hi everyone, this is Wayne Rivers at Performance Construction Advisors, where we build better contractors. Welcome to 2025. Let's start 2025 off with a bang and a bit of a downer. The seeds of a company's destruction are sown in good times. You've heard me say this before. I read this article when I was a banker back in the 80s, and it stuck with me all this time. I can't find it online, that's how old it is. But it was fascinating to me. How could a company that had had years, even decades of success behind it end up failing as a result of all that success? And it's just an astounding conundrum. Now, what about this is important to you? Well, these are good times for contractors. If you think about, we came out of the 2007-8 period recession, and commercial construction started to really get back on its feet in 2012 and 2013. We've had a pretty good run over 10 years now. And at the moment, there's no real sign of that slowing down. So a lot of companies are having the best times in terms of volume and profits that they've ever had. So this is where we need to be a little careful. What happens in good times? Well, we start to believe that we're impervious to harm. We read our own press clippings. We get articles in the local paper. Maybe we have YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff. We start to think we're too big or too profitable to fail. Our balance sheet is way too strong. We can survive anything. Growth and profits actually mask a lot of issues. I know Dennis had a great story about schedules stretching out. People became less rigorous about managing schedule, and the schedules began to creep out longer and longer, resulting in lost time and lost money. The biggest thing about a long period of success is what I've told you before many times. Complacency is a business killer, and it's easy to get complacent when you've had 5 or 10 years of unbelievable success, maybe more success than you ever dreamed of when you first got in the construction business. So here are 8 steps to avoid the disease of more. What's the disease of more? That was a term coined by Pat Riley when he was the coach of the, what were they called? The Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers. They were called the Hollywood Lakers, the Showtime Lakers. That's what it was, the Showtime Lakers. And he said the disease of more is you win a championship, and maybe a couple years later you win another championship, and you start to read your own press, and you become complacent, and you don't work as hard, you don't train as hard, while other teams are working harder, and that complacency sets in. Suddenly you're not the champion anymore. You have suffered from the disease of more. So Pat Riley said, quote, "Success is often the first step towards disaster." Wow, disaster. Well, for him, maybe disaster is not winning another championship. For us, disaster could be failure to manage risk, getting into bad jobs, getting into jobs 2, 3, 4 states away that we really weren't prepared for. Disaster can have a different connotation in construction. So 8 steps to avoid the disease of more. Number 1, be a little paranoid. That sounds funny. Be a little paranoid. Some people are a little maybe more paranoid, but if everybody really is talking about you, it's not paranoia. Okay. Number 2, focus on your culture and your team. Focus on your talent. Manage your talent. Always be looking to upgrade your talent. You need succession throughout your organization. When we talk about business succession, we're usually talking about senior leadership. But let's say you've got some super talented equipment operator in the field, and that person gets 2 or 3 times more productivity from his or her equipment than anybody else. How are you going to replace that? If that person retires or worse, leaves for the competition, how are you going to replace that? So be thinking about succession throughout your organization. Right size. Don't be cheap, but right size your operations, your administration, etc. Don't let growth overwhelm your people. If you haven't upgraded your administrative side of the business, your accounting and finance side of the business, then the field growth can overwhelm the capacity of the office people to keep up. Leverage your most talented people. Have them training, teaching, mentoring other rising leaders. So you've got that super talented equipment operator. How can you get a YouTube video for the rest of the team? Have that person walk through how they managed to do so much with the same equipment that other people's managed to do much less with. The third thing, do rigorous strategic business planning. I know you're sick of Dennis and me talking about this, but You don't want to build out, you're not building through planning. You're not building the company you are now. You're building the company that you want to be. And to grow and prosper and have more people and more projects and make a bigger impact, you're going to need to be a different organization than you are now. What's the bridge to get from where you are now to where you want to be in 5 years? That's the purpose of strategic planning. If you have a solid plan in place already, stress test it. See what happens if your volume falls off 10% or worse, 20%. What happens to all your plans when the money slows down a little bit? Fourth thing, benchmark your costs. Our peer group members benchmark rigorously once a year, but you need to know, especially your G&A, that's the thing you can control the most. Make sure your G&A is not continually creeping upward unnecessarily. Now, I said before, don't be cheap and always be looking to add talent, and that contributes, of course, to your G&A. But at the same time, make sure your G&A isn't growing faster than all the things that need to be underneath to undergird it. The fifth thing, plan for bad job avoidance and mitigation. If you don't have a solid go, no-go, you need one. We actually have a pretty well-developed go, no-go PowerPoint. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? Just let us know. We'll put a link in the description, and let us know if you want that go, no-go PowerPoint, and we'll send that out to you straight away. Make sure you have the capacity to run to your problems. Dennis talked about this all the time. When a bad job does materialize, make sure you have the resources to get on that problem ASAP and don't let it fester, and make sure your culture allows for problems to bubble up to the top. Some cultures are, what? Are you kidding? And people get sort of raked over the coals for bringing problems to the fore. But you're much better knowing about the problems early on than finding out 6 months down the road when you're really in a tough hole. And finally, be real selective in taking on new work. Volume for volume's sake is not necessarily a good thing, so be careful and strategic in the new work that you take on. Number 6, invest in your people. Coaching, training, mentoring, career path, all that kind of stuff. Make sure your people are getting the care that they need so they don't find the competition or another industry even more attractive. Number 7, love on your customers. We're going to talk about love in another vlog that's coming up here real shortly. But who are your A customers? What are their psychographics? What are their demographics? On which ones do you have the most margin, et cetera, et cetera. Define your best customers so you can go out and recruit more of them. Also, that will help you understand who you're not. You might have some solid customers in there, but they don't rise to the level of being A customers. So what are your A customers, your B, your C, et cetera. And finally, going back to number 6, love on your employees. Everybody knows the golden rule, but I heard a few years ago at the platinum rule. And today, with all the psychographic things that we have available to us, EQ and all of the other things that we have, it's easier than ever to follow the platinum rule. And the platinum rule simply is do unto others as they wish to be done unto. We're not all the same. And the stuff that works for me with my personality may not work with Neha and her personality. We're not all the same. So make sure that you're dialed in enough to your people so that you can give them the unique care and attention that they deserve. And finally, don't fall prey to the disease of more. We'd like to hear what you think. Share with us in the comments. Boot camp is coming up. First boot camp is March 2025 in Dallas. So contact Charlotte for more information and get your folks signed up. This is Wayne Rivers at Performance Construction Advisors, where we build better contractors.